How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. Ben here. I'm joined by Matthew this time instead of my usual co-captain Michael to do a quick video counting down the top five. Each of us are going to give top five new artists. This isn't necessarily like of all the ones that are out there. It's just our top five, respectively, that we're excited about. So, Matthew, you're the guest. Did you want to lead us off?
Yeah, man. I'll start off. Mine's kind of scattered a little bit. I found this new dude. Well, he's not really new, but new to me. His name's Joey Alexander. He's a jazz pianist from Indonesia, dude. He is definitely worth checking out. He's only 17. He's already got some Grammy nominations under his belt.
Wow.
Like it was like a couple years ago. So he's like 13, I think, when he got him.
One of those YouTube prodigies.
I think he's been on YouTube. I hadn't really dug in too deep with him. He kind of popped up on a playlist of mine, and it sounds really nice. Yeah, man. I think he only has one album out right now. It's called Warna, I believe. And it's just like very, very easy listening. It's like a trio piece. And yeah, man, what's the one song? It was called I liked a lot. I wrote it down somewhere.
Sort of more traditional jazz.
Yeah. What's the dude? Vince Guaraldi. He's like the dude that does the Charlie Brown music.
Yeah. That kind of thing. Nice.
Very laid back, easy listening. Yeah, it's
well, that's definitely an up and coming artist, considering he's like can't buy cigarettes yet at a gas station. He's 17, you said.
And the stuff I did find with him on YouTube, he's like played for some presidents. Like he played for Clinton and Obama.
Wow.
Yeah. He played at the White House.
That's a
17, man.
That makes me feel like shit. What the hell have I done? All right. So my first pick, I don't know. He's not the most obscure, but he's definitely obscure to American audiences. Kind of like, we're both going overseas to Asia, Asiatic region or whatever. And I've got this handy. I managed to track down. I had to import it from Canada, but this is an Australian guitarist called Pliny, and this is his debut album, Handmade Cities, from 2016. Very Satriani-esque. That's his biggest influence. He is upfront with that, and it sounds like it. But Steve Vai is actually how I heard of this guy. Steve Vai's been plugging a lot of his albums and his EPs. He released some music under the name like Halcyon or something odd like that in like 2015 or so. I don't even think it got a real commercial release. He was just kind of a local guy in Australia. But he's a fantastic player. And it's kind of hard to actually make instrumental guitar rock new. I mean, people have been doing that for 50 years. And you think, what is there that hasn't been done in that genre? There's all these shredders on YouTube and these prodigies like that Japanese kid, I forget his name, but like he's the most exceptional guitarist I've ever seen. He does these crazy things. But this guy really stands out. Obviously, he's a very capable player, but he has a facility with songcraft and melody that is very Satriani-esque, and it makes for compelling instrumental guitar rock when that's something that's pretty short supply lately. And I also have to give a shout out to the guy, I think his name is Troy Wright. I don't know if he's a session guy, couldn't find any other information on him online, but he plays drums on this album. And the dude needs an album of his own. He's unbelievably good. They have all these math rocky progressive metal type crazy metered songs, and he just hangs right with it, right in the pocket on all these drum tracks. He's fantastic. So he's got a new album out. I had to import that from Canada as well. I don't even know if anybody's selling them in the US, called Impulse Voices. It came out last year. I'm looking forward to hearing it. I haven't heard it yet. I want to hear it on vinyl for the first time, but that's my first pick. I can't wait to see what he does when he puts his talents to a more like ambitious, commercially backed record project.
Steve Vai on either of those?
I this one no, the debut. But the second one I'm not sure. It's very possible. And there's that great lineage because Steve Vai, if memory serves, was taught by Satriani, and then now this guy, Steve Vai, is like it's like Satriani's musical grandson. This guy, in a way. I don't know that they're directly related or linked or whatever artistically, but it sounds like it. And he's picking up where Satriani left off with Surfing with the Alien.
Right on. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna keep it overseas. I got one more from Mongolia. I'm
Wow.
not a big metal fan, or I just not very well rounded in that area.
Mhm.
But it's and they're huge too. It's the Who. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Not a HWO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so, actually.
So these dudes, they like kind of combine like American metal with Mongolian like folk music. It's really cool. They have this it's like a Mongolian fiddle or something. It's like a 2-stringed instrument, super thick strings.
Yeah, like this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of cello looking, but it sounds like a fiddle. That's awesome. A lot of just like, I guess, traditional percussive stuff from their country.
The reason why I thought I might have heard of that is I came across on YouTube. It was like heavier, sort of thrashy, almost sounding instrumental, but it had this dude doing that like that throat singing thing over top of it. And I how many of those could there be? So I guess that's probably that one.
They're like harmonizing with each other with a
Yeah.
throat.
Yeah. That's weird stuff, man, but it sounds amazing. It sounds otherworldly. That polyphonic whatever that they can do 2 notes at once with that throat singing thing.
Crazy.
Yeah. Do they have an album? I'd love to hear their album if they got one.
I think they have 2. They have more than 2, but just the streaming services I've used, they only have 2 on there. YouTube, they have I think they just put out like a cover of Sad But True, Metallica.
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's all in their like their language too. They have like subtitles in English. The one song I think their most popular song, it's like a war chant, dude. I feel like I'm about to go to war.
That's awesome.
500.
That's an appropriately obscure pick, a Mongolian metal band. That's fantastic. All right, well, I feel a little bad because I'm going to bring this guy up. Seems like every video I do, regardless, on this channel. But my number 2 pick is Chewbac Hutchings, saxophonist of.
I see that back there.
I was spinning that last night, as I frequently do. Love that record, but that's not all he does. So he obviously is an extremely technical, skillful jazz player. But from what I've read about him, he was very dissatisfied with the sort of conventions of the London jazz scene. He thought it was real stuffy and stuck in the past and all this stuff. So already a pretty cool, innovative guy, bringing world influence, because I believe he's British, but he was raised in like Barbados or somewhere in the Caribbean. So he brings a very like cross section of world music into jazz from how he plays and what he listened to growing up, presumably. So he's got the Sons of Kemet project, which is probably probably the best album of 2018, at least that I heard. But he also brings those skills to a band called The Comet Is Coming, which brings they had an album in 2019, I believe, called like something long about the life force of the mystery or something long like that. It's a cool album because what's that?
Listen to that one before. It's good.
Yeah, and it's like electronic music fused with his jazz styles. So I mean, he's only been around for 3 or 4 years, and he's hitting all these crazy new styles and multiple projects. He's got another band called Chewbacca and the Ancestors, which is a bit more roots jazz, Caribbean jazz type sound or whatever, but equally as good, equally as skillful. He's done so much in 3 years with like 4 bands and like 8 albums. I mean, the dude is a legend, and I'm looking forward to absolutely everything he comes out with any project. So definitely an up and coming artist.
Check him out. His other stuff.
Yeah.
We have a trend of just hopping overseas. My next one is also partially from Europe. Half of the group is. So it's Domi and JD Beck. They're like a jazz fusion. I don't know what to call them, man, because they're like they kind of have silly stuff like mono neon, just kind of goofy, laid back, not so serious, but like you listen to their music and they're so intricate, so like together, dissonant at sometimes. They're just really good. One of my favorite new artists right now. But Domi is from France. Couldn't tell you where in France. And JD Beck's somewhere from Texas. They're both, it's like another little prodigy group, man. They're both super young. I think JD Beck's not even 18 yet. Domi's probably 20, 21 in that age range. But yeah, man, they're huge. They've played with a lot of big names. Mono Neon being one of them. They play with they did on Adult Swim. They did this Them Changes by Thundercat, and they played with him and Ariana Grande. They've done stuff with like Anderson .Paak, bunch of different like that kind of genre artists, and they play. My favorite version. A lot of their stuff isn't like recorded on YouTube. It's on social media. They just put little clips out here and there. And they did this version of Pat Metheny's "Have You Heard?" and it's super cool. It's just a super cool rendition of that tune. That was one I played in school, and we tried our best. Like everyone else did all right, but I just butchered that song. So it's good to hear it played nice.
Yeah, awesome, man. We're keeping it a lot more jazz on this list than I thought. That's makes us sound like we're very cultured people. All this jazz, that helps. So this segues nicely. My next pick is, we're keeping in Texas. No French influence this time. And actually, hold on, I think I've got this one. Well, it might be somewhere else, but I have it on vinyl as well. It's Polyfia. New Levels, New Devils was their big 2018 math rock epic. Love that band. They're from Dallas, Texas, I believe. They've actually been around for like 7 or 8 years, but only really broke onto the scene in a big way with that 2018 release. They had a couple, I think, self-released albums. So technically it's not their debut, but it's their commercial debut for all intents and purposes. And these guys are fantastic. I mean, prodigies, all 4 of them. I don't know the guys' names. I should have wrote them down, but they've toured extensively with like Periphery and some other prog metal bands. Actually, I think they were coming to Louisville, man, and I was looking forward to go see them, but then COVID happened, obviously, and that didn't happen. But they would be killer to see live. I mean, just the most intricate, tight guitar playing. I mean, you and I have tried to record music together and apart and all this stuff, and it's like, I can't imagine trying to record to a click track any section of any one of those songs on their record. I mean, it has to be done by feel. There's no way they could. It's absolutely spot on tight in these crazy passages and interludes and all this stuff. Fantastic. They are unique among the metal scene because they actively say they don't listen to any other metal. They only listen to like pop and what's going on in hip hop and some electronic music. And I think that actually works in their favor because they're avoiding a lot of the cliches that make metal sound stock today. So it's lots of synthesizer type noodly guitar riffs instead of just the shredding that you hear on a ton of other metal records. It's a dime a dozen these days. So I would love to see Polyfia put together something more conceptual, more ambitious, and apply those skills. Because I love New Levels, New Devils, but it's basically just like a collection of cool tracks thrown together just to put something out there. At least that's how it hits my ear. But they could put something epic together if they took their time and applied those technical skills to like a bigger concept album or something ambitious like that. So that's my number 3 pick.
How many times do you think they how many takes do you think it took for that first one?
I can't even. I mean, some of those like they have a track called Goat. It's the closer, and it's most of their stuff's instrumental. It's like 75% instrumental. Sometimes they'll have a featured vocalist. There's one guy in the band who sings sometimes, but Goat, I can't imagine how many takes that took to get that down because it just doesn't do the same thing twice for 4 minutes. It's incredible. 5 minutes, I forget. But and the drummer again, props to the percussionist for holding all that mess together. It's fantastic. Love that stuff.
All right, man. Yeah, I was gonna see my next one on the list at Z Bar. Um, I think 2 weeks ago, but they ended up canceling her show.
Ah,
I don't know if it was COVID or what, but they canceled their show. It's a Katie Pruett from Nashville. She's like a pop alt country, I guess. Like, it's like that, just kind of Nashville sound almost. Very reverby. I wouldn't call it dreamy sounding.
mhm.
But that's the first word that came to mind. So dreamy sounding, I guess. Just super laid back. She only has one studio album out right now. I think it's called Expectations. It's pretty well put together. It's hard to put a bad album out in Nashville in terms of production. In my opinion, everything's very well produced down there. So
Yeah.
it's a good album. I like the songs, but personally, I prefer them. I prefer her music live. Just anything I listen to by her, I want to hear it just her as a solo artist. Like her backing band is good, but just vocals and an acoustic is great. I think she has another single out. It's like 2 songs, and they're both pretty cool. Kind of similar sound to the Expectations album. But yeah, man, it was the one song I was thinking of. It's she did a John Prine cover. Is Angels of Montgomery.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she did that right around, I think right around the time he died. And is a great version of that song.
She's a guitar player, you said?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
plays guitar. She
Nice.
can shred too, man. But I think this strong suit is just like rhythm and just rhythm guitar and her singing, like I was saying.
Nice. I'll check that out. Awesome. You've got a very diverse list. I commend you, my friend. We've covered Mongolian metal now to Nashville. That's
I'm not bound by genre, man. I either like them or I don't.
that's quite a spread. I'm impressed. Um, so my second to last pick is a band that is definitely an up and coming band, and they're from Oldham County, where I'm sitting right now. They're called Knocked Loose. They had a tour they did with Code Orange. Code Orange is a better known sort of metal band that incorporates a lot of electronic stuff, but they also have lots of like I guess you call it like sludge metal type things. It's very groovy. It's like, groove metal gets a bad rap because so many people did it so poorly when new metal was a thing. But the good groove metal guys like Sleep, they're kind of stoner rock, but they're who I think of when I think of a great groove metal. Knocked Loose, they had I should have wrote down the name of the album. I think it's A Different Shade of Blue or A Shade of Blue, something to like that came out a year or two ago. And they are one of the few bands keeping relatively traditional metal fresh, just by the skill of their playing and the production, which I think is fantastic for a band that was presumably not on a huge budget. It's their commercial debut. They put out a few self-release things, as so many people do these days. They also played, which was big for them. I imagine they got to play on the last Warped Tour before they shut that thing down. So that would have been huge for them because I imagine guys, they're not much older than you or I. That would have been huge for them to get on that stage. It's sort of if it's like equal parts hardcore, like sort of punky hardcore stuff, and a bit of metalcore without the cheese and the nonsense from the 2000s, and then like some sludge metal in there. And they're just extremely energetic in their performances, despite not bringing like crazy new influences that nobody's heard in metal. I think they do it extremely well, and they've got to give them some love because they're from like 20 miles down the road from me.
Yeah. How many albums do they have?
Just the one that I know of. They have some like Bandcamp stuff, I believe, that they put out before, some EPs or self-released albums or whatever. But they got, I forget who signed them, but they got signed to a major label, and A Different Shade of Blue, I believe, was their commercial debut, their debut for all intents and purposes.
I wonder if them and White Reaper will pick them up and have them on their next tour.
Yeah, well, I thought about putting White Reaper on this list, but those guys have experienced a degree of success that I think they've kind of arrived. Yeah.
No longer up and coming, man.
Yeah, they've arrived. Yeah, they're on their third album or something like that. I can't remember. I heard the first two and I liked them, but I think they're doing a third, or they released a third.
Yeah, they released the third, I think.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet, but I like those guys too. Those you probably know because I went to high school with those guys. Yeah, they're great.
Anthony Esposito.
And the Sam, and I forget it's Wilkerson brothers, Sam, and I forget the other guy's name. I wasn't as tight with him because Sam was closer to my age, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't best friends with them, but I knew those guys. They were good guys. I had no idea they were so good at music.
Man, we have a trend. It's my last band is from Louisville, man.
Nice.
Yeah. So these guys, their name is Package. Producing a Kind Generation is the acronym, one of the acronyms I've heard, but it's their main one. These guys are some of the nicest people I've met, some of the hardest working musicians in town. Yeah, man, they're just a bunch of great guys. It's a Dre Smith, he's their singer. Pinky is their guitar player. He can shred, dude. Aaron Holmes is their bass player, and Kim Williams is their drummer, man. And they're just such a tight group. They're a rock group. They have 2 albums out right now. I guess two official albums. But man, their one they put out last year, Teddy, is something else. It's just so tight. And I've somewhat followed them for as long as I've known. I know Pinky and Kim just from where we work, where we teach lessons. So I've known these guys for a little bit now, and just watching them grow and their sound grow and their work, how they work together, it's great. Aside from that, to the music, man, it's super cool. I'm sure that I think they've been compared to like Red Hot Chili Peppers before. It's the music's kind of steering away from that, but you can definitely hear, if you had to compare them to a group, that'd be a decent comparison. From the one podcast you and Mike did, I think it was y'all were talking about Stadium Arcadium.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was hating on their funk, like a funk song,
Yeah,
like an album or something. And funny enough, man, Package has like, they've kind of done that too. That not like one song dedicated to that, but there's one song is called Ode to James, and it's like it's my favorite song on that Teddy album, for sure. So that's where Mike and I would disagree.
Mike wouldn't like it. Yeah, he said he liked that whole album except the real funky cunt Hump to Bump.
The bump.
He doesn't like that one.
Yeah, man, this Ode to James is kind of has that like 80s DC go-go kind of groove to it.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
They play here locally?
Yeah. Not as much as they were, but yeah, man, they've been staying super busy over the past few years. I think they're trying right now, just because you can't have a big show really. They're just gonna do like a lot of up close and personal shows, just limit their crowd
Yeah.
attendance. Um, but man, that yeah, they're super cool, man. I think they did some interview with I can't remember the cat's name from Radiohead, but they've done like a couple interviews, um, just just like we're doing like over Zoom. Uh, so they're like recognized worldwide. Super cool band, man.
Awesome.
Definitely worth checking out.
Well, great minds think alike. We both need to highlight the fact that the Louisville music scene that we've both been paying attention to and been a part of at various points is pretty awesome, man. I wouldn't trade it. I think we got a great thing here as far as live bands locally. I think the music scene's pretty good in this city.
Definitely.
All right, my final pick wouldn't surprise people that I talk to a lot because I love these guys and they're definitely up and coming because their debut was 2019, and to my knowledge they had nothing beforehand, like not even an internet presence or nothing ramping up. I think they got signed by some British label that's of decent size just on the strength of their set list, and that is Black Midi. They had a 2019 record called Schlagenheim. Weird cover. You'd recognize it in a second. It's got these like trash sculptures on it with a big green square in the corner. I don't have it handy. I couldn't find it in this country to buy, sadly, but I would in a second if I could. And I think that they are proof that Prague is not dead, man. Prague is here to stay. And you know I love some Prague, but they do it in a way that's very divorced from those stale 70s synthesizer sounds that make people hate prog so much. They're noisy. They've got lots of post-rock, noise rock, sort of mathy elements to their music. They run the gambit on their album from like almost folksy acoustic type songs to like hardcore. They got one, I think it's Outside Detroit, Michigan is the name of the song or something like that. And that's almost like a Touche Amore type screaming hardcore banger. And then they've got all these longer solo-y Neil Young almost sounding instrumentals and all that stuff. The album is fantastic. It hits you in all the right spots and it doesn't get stale because they don't do the same thing twice. And I'm looking for, they dropped a single, the name escapes me, teasing what I imagine will be their next studio album. And I wasn't thrilled with it. I thought it was kind of goofy, but I'm still hopeful that these guys can have an awesome run because nobody sounds like Black Midi right now. I mean, they are the lead singer. I think his name is Jeff Geardy or something like that. It's but he's got such a weird emotive voice and it's got that quality that like speaking of people, Neil Young, bad singing voice by most objective measures, but extremely compelling and everybody likes it because it's real and it's emotive and these guys are fantastic. I can't wait for their follow-up project. And they're definitely a true up and comer. They've only been around for like 2 years and I can't wait for their next album. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that album on your review for 2019 albums. I think it wasn't. I think it was number one.
It was indeed. Yeah. That's that one. I heard nothing like that year. And there was a lot of good shit in 2019, but these guys, they stand alone. If they continue in this vein and get better at it and all that stuff, they could spark like a whole subgenre all their own. That's how unique their sound is. It's all over the place in the best way. And all right, I think that was you did your 5, didn't you?
Yeah, I did my 5.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's that went well. We had some issues getting this call set up, but I think we pulled it off. And Matt, thanks for joining me. Great to have you, man. We'll do some more of these in the future. Pick some different topics, but that'll do it for this one. So thanks for watching.